Hello friends. Today I'll be covering function overloading in JavaScript. So what is function overloading? Function overloading refers to the ability to create multiple functions using the same name. This is more common in other programming languages and less so in JavaScript. And the reason for that is JavaScript does not support function overloading. But there are some creative ways that we can mimic this behavior. So let's take a look at this function doThing. It takes an x and a y, and it can be called just like this. And you can see that the output will be x:4, y:3. Now what I'd also like to do is have this function support named arguments, so I would like to call the function also like this. So I'd like to be able to pass in x is 4 and y is 3, just to add a little bit of clarity when calling the function. But this isn't working, so if I comment this out to make that a little bit more clear, we can see up here that x is my object and y is undefined. And the reason for that is because doThing here is passing this in as a single object. And what that means is that this whole object is being set as x, and then there's nothing here, so nothing is being set as y. In other programming languages, we'd simply be able to create a copy of doThing and add our new signature x and y. But this doesn't work in JavaScript because our new function actually overrides the old function. So if I were to uncomment this, we could see that this is the function that's called and our original function stops working. But what we can do to simulate this behavior is put a conditional inside of the function itself. So I can say if the type of x equals object, this is where my overload is going to be. And what I can do in here is I can just return doThing, where I'm going to pass in x.x and x.y. And again, the reason why this is working is because this object here is being passed into x. Then because the type is object, I can then call the property x and the property y off of that object, which refer to the x here and the y here. So now when looking at doThing x:4, y:3, I can see that it console logs correctly. And if I were to check the other doThing with 4, 3, I can also see that it's logging correctly. So even though there's no function overloading in JavaScript, I can still simulate it. Now this technique isn't perfect, and it's usually recommended to create separate functions and then call the functions separately. So you would have, for example, doThing1 and doThing2. But I think something like this example is fine, where you want to support a new named argument syntax, but you also want to maintain backward compatibility. So to recap, JavaScript does not support function overloading, but we can emulate this behavior by checking the types of the arguments. And just a reminder, when subscribing, you also have to click the bell or YouTube won't notify you of new videos that are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.